Hey everyone, so the last time that I talked to you guys, I was planning to get a loop recorder in July. That did not happen. The appointment itself was set up, then got postponed because it was taking a while for insurance to process the claim, and then insurance denied it. And then my provider needed to do like a peer-to-peer review with the insurance company, and they still denied it. From my understanding, the reason that they're denying it is because I don't have like significant evidence of anything, I guess, harmful heart-wise, cardiac-wise in the previous like external cardiac event monitoring that I've had, like essentially like a Holter monitor. Which is confusing to me because I kind of thought that the purpose of the loop recorder was to capture things that weren't being caught with those like Holter monitor recordings. So I don't know, I'm confused about that. I get to meet with my electrophysiologist in the next couple weeks, and I'm gonna ask him if he thinks it's worth sending in an appeal. For those who don't know, if insurance denies a procedure or a treatment for you, you can appeal it. I just learned about this recently through NORD, which is the National Organization for Rare Disease. I think that's the correct acronym. But I'll include that video in a playlist on my channel so that if you're interested in viewing that, you can. And so I might appeal it if he thinks it's worth it. I've had a few episodes over the past couple of months, and not too many, just like once a month. It seems like I'm having these episodes where I get super tired all of a sudden, and then I'll go to like rest and lay down, and I'll use my Apple Watch and the Quali app, and it actually picks up on an arrhythmia. And one of those times I thought that it was a long QT, but actually after submitting it to the technicians, they said that after recalculating the QTC that it was not long QT. They said there might have been ectopic beats, but it was hard to read because it was like I guess a poor recording, which I was kind of surprised about because usually it says that like initially in the recording. So I'm not really sure there. They also said that there might have been something weird with my P waves, which actually has happened with an immediate family member of mine who has had significant cardiac events. So I thought that was interesting. But most recently I did capture like an episode of SVT, which if you've looked it up on social media, it's pretty common. And from what I understand, like not life-threatening. I saw my cardiologist following that episode, and he didn't seem too concerned. He said that I could go on medication for it, but because I have them so far and few in between, he didn't think it was really necessary, and that like the side effects would outweigh the benefit. And I've already been through a lot of medication side effects, so I'm willing to not take that route. And he also like told me about some like Valsalva maneuvers, like kind of like holding your breath and bearing down, that can be done to like stop the SVT. And he also gave me guidance on like when to go to the ER. So essentially he said, excuse me, if I'm finding that the SVT doesn't stop after trying like the Valsalva maneuver or like bearing down or like splashing my face with water, cold water, that kind of thing. And if my heart rate's like 170 or higher, then to go to the ER, which I found very helpful because sometimes it's really hard to know like when to go to the ER. But so that's been a whole an adventure of itself. Along in there in late July, early August, I had some kind of virus that actually caused a lot of like the neurological issues that I've had in the past, like tics, like having weird neurological things on like one side of my body. I initially thought that it might have been a blood clot because I was having like pain, like that veiny kind of pain in my right leg, and like some redness and swelling and shortness of breath. So I had gone to the ER for that, and thankfully it was not a blood clot. So it later kind of developed into what appeared to be a virus, according to my GP. So I had like, white patches in my throat, that kind of thing, like swollen lymph nodes. Was not COVID, apparently, according to like the take-home tests. It was just kind of like really strange. So yeah, that's been a whole thing in and of itself. In the process of all of that, I had to look back through my medical records to check some previous like lab work or tests to discuss with my doctor. And in the process, I found abnormal test results that like we hadn't really dug into. So I'm currently exploring that and the possibility of hemochromatosis at the risk of sounding like a hypochondriac here. But I'll create a separate video for that for those who might be interested in listening to that. I'm only at the beginning of that kind of like exploration, so I'm definitely not an expert. So that's been kind of an interesting journey as well. To follow up on the like nutritional guidance I was getting from an internal medicine doctor who she had actually recommended that I try increasing my carbohydrate intake, and she did a great job of like getting my background and everything. If you saw my previous video about that, then you will have heard me say that there. And I liked her, but I was very skeptical of increasing my carb intake because of with periodic paralysis, depending on the type of periodic paralysis that you have, that can actually be like the opposite of what you need to do. In my case, it seemed to actually be helpful. I've actually pulled back and am no longer taking the potassium chloride on a daily basis as I was previously. I think actually what was happening may have been that my potassium was getting too high, and that might have been causing muscle weakness as well. Which if you, just from hearing people talk about their experience who have Anderson-Tawil syndrome, and they have like the identified genetic mutations for it, that's a thing for them. Like you can fluctuate either high or low in potassium, and it won't necessarily show as high or low in blood serum test results, but it has to do with that intracellular shift of potassium. So my best guess is that because I consume well over the daily recommended amount of potassium, not like excessively so, I don't think, but I think having the potassium chloride on top of that may have been causing me issues. So I also was curious whether the potassium chloride may have been causing the like arrhythmias or the palpitations that I was feeling. And so I was interested to come off of the potassium to see if those episodes would stop. And I actually had that recent SVT episode without taking any potassium chloride, and I had been off of the potassium chloride for a few weeks at that point. So I don't know, it's a big puzzle. As many of you know, with like chronic illness and trying to figure things out, it's been tricky. But I just wanted to update you guys in case you were like expecting a loop recorder video. I apologize. It has not happened. I'm not sure if it's going to happen, to be honest. I'm kind of not sure if I need it. Like part of me thinks that if the episodes that I'm having are just SVTs, then I probably don't really need it. But also because I have that KCNJ2 mutation, which is on the same gene and very close in location to the known variants for Anderson-Tawil, and that has its own set of cardiac complications. And because of my family history, which is like why my doctor wanted to go the loop recorder route, I'm still kind of like, part of me still feels like it might be a good idea. And then the other side of that is that even if I get the loop recorder, it's going to be a lot of extra work, like tracking. It's going to be tracking another thing, which I'm already kind of doing with the Quali app, and it's been helpful, but it's just another thing, you know? So I don't know. I'm going to talk to my electrophysiologist to get his take on it and go from there. But thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. And for those who are interested in that hemochromatosis video, I will post that as well.